it seems like everything's going your way. Everything's perfect. You have a little knife. You, out of everybody, has the exact right tool for this. All you have to do is just reach between these camel's hind legs, cut the vein. It's a nice vein that goes like this. The cattle's really skittish. You're just waiting for more of the tiles to rain down. You're right there. The camel, the rider's trying to control it. You're right there. You reach in. This is your thing. You're actually at +4. This is easier than a pickpocket. Roll 20 side.
5.
You do it. Ching. You don't know if you cut a vein, but you definitely cut the camel, and you keep on walking. And as you do, you get to the other side, and you turn, and you see your camel kind of stumble off, and the rider's trying to control it. Other camels, whether they're hit or not, are moving past. Whatever you were supposed to do right here, you've done successfully. Out of everybody, you take a right and a left like this. You actually see both Roosh and Kasha on your side. You're assuming that what they did was successful. But then you see one of the Nitilik walking towards you with a big smile on his face. Like he was successful too. And he's walking towards you with a smile. And he kind of nods at you. And he walks right up to you. And he says, "Which camel was yours?" Fuck! Right into your gut. Roll 20 sided.
Not nice.
Ooh, 1.
Fuck! He moves you into an alley. He goes, shh, 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 shh. And you can feel the tip of it going into your backbone.
Alright, yell for Roosh.
You try to yell. Roll 20 sided.
13.
You go, "Help!" And he puts a hand over your mouth. He goes, shh. It's okay. It's okay. Gugg.
I tried biting his hand.
You try to bite his hand. Roll 20 sided.
20.
You bite his hand, and at first he kind of ignores it, but he doesn't realize that you got a real good, like, you know when you get a good grip on something, and you go, crack! Ah! He screams and tries to wrench his hand out. Even that doesn't work. He lets go of the knife and pushes into your forehead, trying to get his hand out of your mouth, and there's just blood spurting everywhere.
Do I
and
hear
you
this?
just have a feral look. You do not. Where are you right now?
Well, I'm in the hideout near the
You
alley.
hear about that.
Okay.
Roll 20 sided again.
I tried grabbing a dagger from my pocket and stabbing him. 3.
You try to grab for the dagger, but it's like you are just slipping down the wall, and you realize that there's just blood everywhere. And the guy's like, "Oh!" And he finally frees his hand like this, but all of a sudden he stiffens. "Oh!" And he just falls, just like a sack of potatoes. And you see Kasha. Kasha turns and he's looking, puts the knife away, and he bends over you. He's like, "What happened?"
They betrayed us.
He takes a look at you. This is one of those rolls that you want to get. Roll 20 sided.
All I did.
And you look upon Kuro, and you realize he's done. The knife went through him, and the point of it into the backbone. You realize that even if you had the ability to somehow put him back together, his legs aren't going to work for the rest of his life. There's blood that's starting to come out of his mouth. And you look upon your brother, and you realize that the best thing that you could probably do for this guy is a quick death. One that he asks for. Do you understand?
So now.
Well, you are now Kasha. Roll 20 sided.
12.
Kuro looks up at you, and Kuro was a hard man. This is no shrinking violence. This is a guy who walked around the toughest city in Galadrim, cutting purses and picking pockets. This is nobody who's afraid of a fight. He just bit the crap out of somebody who killed him. But he looks at you and he smiles and he says, "Do it."
I kill him.
And you kill him. And you back up and you realize two things. One, you have just killed one of the Nitiliks and you have sent your brother to Wind. But you are in enemy territory and you know that there are camels whose legs have been slit, but you also know one other thing. Your band was effectively shattered, and that's probably why this happened. You understand?
Yeah.
So when they realized that you guys were just scattered to the four winds, it was a perfect time to act, and you also rolled a 1.
I
All right.
can't him to retreat.
All right, so you go out on the main street, and he is gone. He is gone.
I'm still
You're still there. You are on the other side of the street, kind of away from him,
I'm still there, but I'm losing myself in the crowd a little bit.
and you are losing yourself in the crowd. So
Yeah,
actually,
that's right.
you see him, but he's got the attention of a horseman. He's trying to get away. You realize that he probably wasn't able to kill a camel. Actually, you spot him, but he's down this street, and there's a Nitilik right next to him. You don't see him, and you don't see him. Who you do see is Roosh. Roll 20. I want one person to roll 20-sided once for Roosh.
12.
You do see Roosh, and he's actually holding a cut. And he has a dagger in one hand, and he's holding a cut, and he goes, "Betrayal! Betrayal!" Roll 20-sided.
5.
You turn and look at Roosh. Bad idea, because the Nitilik over here jumps on you. Roll one more time.
They're gonna throw them off of me. Bastards.
He's coming down with the knife.
3.
Woof! Like this.
I use my arm to block the knife.
He comes in, and the knife goes straight into your arm, in between the bones. Thunk. The point goes out like this. Ah! But you have saved yourself, but his knife is between your bones, and he looks at you and he goes, "Die!" And he twists the knife. Roll 20-sided.
I grab my knife to put it in his nose.
Ching! You grab your knife as you scream out in pain.
Having teeth.
Ching! You have your knife out, and you thrust. This is for the thrust. You are right there. You're at +2.
Come on.
Ah. 1.
You kill him. Thunk! Oh! It goes right into his solar plexus. And he just goes, oh! And then he drops. But at the very same time, you drop because you've been killed from behind very quickly with a knife into your neck and into your brain from another Nitilik who has come from behind. Roll 20-sided one more time. This is like a hero's saving throw.
11.
Which does not work. Everybody roll 20-sided.
We saw combat.
1.
6.
13.
4.
19.
Hold that thought. You realize that you're kind of, you are getting out of dodge. You are moving out of the way. You see one of them is following you. You know that all hell is breaking loose. You've heard betrayal. You know that camels are stumbling. One camel has actually gone on down on all fours and has refused to move. You know that stuff has happened.
I don't care.
You realize that your life is definitely in danger. I want you to put down fate and roll 20-sided.
12.
You are moving, but this guy is right behind you, but you are actually moving ahead of him.
Cut right down the alleyway line. Right on.
Fate, and you do so. You may have just saved yourself. I want you to give me one more roll. If you roll a 1, I will love it.
12.
Roll again.
14.
Roll 20-sided.
9.
You are alone. You are trying to bandage yourself. You are cursing because everything's becoming super slippery from the blood. You're getting weak. You've actually dry heaved a couple times. You're kind of panicking a little bit, and all of a sudden you hear the stones move, and he comes in. And you see him, and you realize that he's taken a really bad wound, but you take a look at him, and you realize that
Makes sense. How bad is it?
it's not as bad as it could be. You need to stop the bleeding. You need to bandage this up. But for some miracle, he got lanced in the back, and it didn't hit any organs. You have no idea how the hell
Yeah,
that
how the hell did that happen? I don't know.
So I say, quick! They got me in the back, and I'm bleeding out.
I see that. Do we have any articles of clothing, blankets, anything?
Yes. So this is like where you guys usually hang out, and there's just all
I cut
kinds
strips.
of.
I mean, I make bandages. So it's not I'm buying him up.
I would do it myself, but I can't reach back there. Can
I got it.
Tie it tight.
Stop moving.
Roll 20 sided, the two of you.
13.
12.
Okay. Roll 20. You enter your den, and you see him and him. He is bandaging him up, and he's finishing. He's hurt. He's not. You are cut. You are Roosh. All right. You are the big jolly guy who's really big that nobody messes with, who's not a bully, and you slew one of the betrayers, but you did take a superficial wound. It went in about 1.5 inches, but when you look at the wound, this is going to sound really gross, all you see is the white of fat, even though it went in 1.5 inches, and it's bleeding, but not bleeding like if something else was cut, and oh boy, does it hurt. So you're going to need to tend to it, but you're going to live. Roll 20 sided, roll 20 sided.
4.
You take a look around. You see all of this happening. You see him die. But he kills one of them, and you instinctively kind of go to one side. And you realize that one of them is coming this way and will probably either pass you or turn. And you could get him, you could hide, or you could walk towards your side of the street. You got to do one of the three. What's it going to be?
Walk towards the side of my street, try to go back to the bin.
Okay, you walk out of the alley into the main street, and you see the guy that's coming this way speed up and come right towards you.
That's the one.
Shing, and you run. Roll 20. Fate.
Before I got back to the den, I would want to drag Ben somewhere hidden or cover him in something and not just leave him out there on the ground.
Roll 20 sided.
And
You did the right thing, which is just get the hell out of Dodge, because at that point you were not only outnumbered by the Nitsulik, you were outnumbered by caravan guards and everybody else, and it's just a mess. The thing to do is just escape and get out. Worry about your buddies later. You are running across the street, the guy's behind you, and you need one good roll to get across the street, and you know that if you get into friendly territory, probably he will not follow because he knows exactly what that means. Roll 27.
9.
I'm rolling like a PC. I speed up. I'm not going to let him get to the other side of the street. I'm going to gut him. I'm going to put my knife in his liver.
Yeah, please
All right.
You see?
Roll 20 sided Nitsulik. All right.
Do I need them once?
It is one of those things where he may beat you if he takes a chance, but he just decides not to. He decides to let you go. You hear his footsteps subside because you're really attuned to them, and you make it into friendly territory. You put on your paper, Urban Escape Experience. All of you are now in your den. And there are actually not windows, but at the top of all the walls are those ornamental screens of carved stone. So there's plenty of light. It's dim, but you're thieves. And you are licking your wounds. That was horrible. In addition, Evnon is there.
Do we have
Wait, hold on. I'm back at that. I thought I was still kind of stuck on the roof over on the other side.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I was going to let you have it,
Oh.
but now I'm going to make you roll 20 something.
We have mead. We have
That is an 18.
Okay. You wait for hours, and you see a drama play out on the street as you see camels going down and the caravan deciding what to do. Some of the camels moving out, some of them staying behind. And what ends up happening is the camel riders, the camels that will go on, grab some stuff off the damn camel and start walking with the caravan, which is the best thing that they can do under these circumstances. Okay, so there's maybe, I'll just say there's less than a dozen camels that are just refusing to move. The riders just leave. The rest of the caravan and their guards moves out. They take what they can and just leave them there. And then you see the Natulik loot the camels. In fact, they loot the camels and they sell the camels to butchers. The butchers come out and they kill the camels right in the street. And actually, there's a big celebration. You see the people of the street are handing out some of the things that can be made into tartare that are on the camel. And with a little bit of salt and spices, the butchers are taking the meat. All the goods have been stolen. And there's a big celebration, you know, that now is the time, which we decided one more time.
3.
I like it. Roll one more time as you climb down.
16.
You climb down the building into the washroom and then through the little narrow chamber and you come out onto the alley. And as you come out into the alley, you come out into a blade. Roll 20-sided one more time.
That's a 20.
You are just like this, and there is a long, narrow scimitar to your throat, and you see a dashing, and he is dressed in finery, silks, laces. He has all the perfect accoutrement, and just, he looks like $1,000,000. Good looking guy. You can tell the ladies probably just love him. And sandy blonde hair, but dark Middle Eastern. And he's got this sword to your throat. He's looking at you with a big smile. And he goes, "Oh, you're not one of them, are you?"
No, I'm not.
And he laughs. And he goes, "Do you know what the Banu Sasan are?"
Everyone knows who the Banu Sasan are.
He says, and he brings down the sword and he looks at you like, "Oh gosh, what a great answer." And he goes, "Look at me. Will you ever forget my face?"
I say never, and I bow my head
He
respectfully.
says, "I am Danakar, the Banu Sasan. And these folk, they owe this me. But you're not one of them, are you?" And he kind of taps you on the chest with the sword.
So they owe us something too.
And he nods and he says, "I'll get mine first." And then he taps your ass with the sword. He goes, "All right,
Yeah, I'm getting the hell out. I don't even
you
want that.
get the hell out of the dodge." And you can put 3 fate, and you can say, "Met Danakor of the Banu Sasan." And that guy was triple badass. You've heard of him. He is a thief of the Thieves Guild of Sekhmet. And he's a guy that they tell 1,000 stories of. And you're like, "Oh, by the gods, I just met Danakor." And what just happened was there was a huge caravan hit that did not have their permission or auspice. And so the Nitalik owe them some goods.
Roosh is hungry. Roosh wants to drink mead.
Fate. Oddly, you do have some mead. Mead isn't really the traditional drink of Sekhmet, but there is mead at your den. There is wine. You are trying to sew yourself up as you drink.
There was
Cursing the
one.
Holy. Actually, You use something called eau de vie, which is really super strong wine. It's like wine made into cognac, and you clean his wound out, and you love that. That's a pleasant day.
Yeah.
You know, cleaning out your wounds with eau de vie. Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
I take a sip to curb pain too.
Fate.
Roosh wants a turkey leg.
All of a sudden, something hits you in the face, and you look down. You're kind of slumped, and your big boobs are out like this, and you don't see a turkey leg, but you see like some flatbread that's been stuffed with meat, vegetables, kind of resting on your boobs. Good enough. And Evnon is throwing that on your chest. Evnon does not look happy.
I asked Edmond where he went. Why he went away.
He didn't run away. He led the guards away from us.
Looked like he ran away.
Evnon, Fate, roll 20 sided.
8.
You said something that men don't usually say to other men. Something that's like you let down the team. What happened with you, and that's really putting somebody in check, especially amongst a group like this. But Evnon doesn't even look at you. He's just staring off. And when you say that, when he speaks, he just kind of looks at him and nods, and then looks away. He doesn't even acknowledge it. And you kind of feel bad because you realize that probably that's exactly what was happening. He saw everything going south and tried to lead as many of the men away as he could so that you guys could execute the mission, not anticipating that things would get even worse and you would get betrayed in that moment. So it was a misjudgment, and he probably curses it more than anybody else because he keenly feels the loss of the people who died.
I apologize and just say, we've lost 2 people.
You open your mouth to apologize, and he immediately reaches over and stops you and just pats your arm. And he nods. And you realize that it doesn't even need to be said. He understood. But he does not look happy. And there's a knock on the door. And Evnon actually looks at you. Like that. Because you are Roosh. And Roosh is the guy who opens the door because you have the ability to slam it right back in somebody's face if need be, or take out whoever needs to be taken out. So you go to the door.
Roosh security.
And
Who is it?
And you open the door and you see one of the little cobras and kind of goes like this. He's the head one. He's Raji. And Raji kind of looks at you and says, Roosh. And he nods.
Come in, enter.
He nods and he comes in. He says, thank you. And he walks down. There's actually stairs leading up to this door. You're kind of in more of like an almost quasi basement.
Uh-huh.
So you go up the stairs to the first level, and that door opens up into this hallway where there's doors to other apartments and such. But that's not how you guys ever enter, right? So he walks down and he sees all of you and he nods respectfully at all of you because he does respect you and wants to be one of you. And he says, the Nitulik, they took all the goods. They sold the camels. But the good news is all of our fallens are with the women being bathed for burial. They'll be buried tonight. And you know what that means? Amongst the desert people are buried within hours. And it is usually the women's job to do this. For you to show up at the funeral where this happens, you may or may not do so. And the reason why you may not is just because you are who you are. And it's kind of like
ambush.
Right. The only person who might show up without issue is you.
I was there.
Although you are covered in, covered in blood. Your ear is just crusted. You see that he is hurt. He's hurt. He's all right. Unbelievably, you just have a scratch.
I'll share the history also with this water.
All that.
Yeah. There's a lot of nerves there, and actually the O to V hurts more than the cut itself. The cut itself.
I give him a song.
Cauterization.
It's a good idea.
He wants to burn it, and he says, "Good idea. You may ruin it."
That's fine. That's a good idea. Clean it, bind it.
I've been convinced out of it.
Evnon nods at you again. Go ahead and put binding and medicine experience, and you can put that as a skill on your paper as well.
I speak up. So if we go to the funeral, we're going to lose our window of opportunity. The caravan got away on foot, and we could still catch him, but in the shape that we're in, it'd be really hard.
Yeah, we're not in a position to do that.
We're not even like
Plus, we're fighting in someone else's territory right now.
I didn't come here to do this job to not get paid.
I didn't come here to die.
I want to eat the Nidalee.
Evnon says, "All in big time." But Raji, the little cobra, he steps forward. He says, "There's one other thing. The man at the refuge gave me a coin to get you. He wishes to speak. I think, well, I don't know why, but he wishes to speak." That's odd. The people at the refuge are they're really friendly.
To get all of us or someone specific?
He said what he said. So they have this beautiful, beautiful compound, this oasis away from Sekhmet on this street in the middle of nowhere. It makes no sense at all. But all you've seen there are old men, and you have no reason to kill them or stab them or steal from them, because not only do they pay you guys protection, but they pay for everybody else in the whole street. And they are beloved, and everyone would protect them because they're just generous. They see someone starving, they hand out food. No one's ever seen but two old men, and every once in a while, cloaked figures in the dead of night go there. Knock on the door, are admitted, never seen. And if you see people going towards the refuge, you always hold up, just in case they are. You've never messed with anybody going to the refuge. It's a place you like them. They're like family, okay? And you've been called before them. And like I said, all you guys have seen is two old men and cloaked figures going there. You have no idea what it is. It may actually just be a refuge, but for whom you do not know.
I think Evnon and I should go.
Evnon nods.
I think we should all go. Either they want Evnon or they want one of us.
I don't think we're all in position to leave.
I think the injured should stay here. I agree.
Evnon nods. Says wisdom. Then you and I go. Do you wish to stay with them and go? Or look after their wounds?
I can look after them. It's just the deer and more.
Yeah.
Take care of them.
I will stay with them.
I stand up, holding the bottle, and I'll go. And then I kind of like,
Sit.
maybe I better stay.
Fate. And Evnon turns to you. He says, Kasha loves me.
Let's support.
And you guys actually move out. You go up the stairs, you go out the door, and you appear on your main street, the Street of Refuge. And here you get respect. It's not Effendi, it's Effendi. And because you are basically the police, judge, jury, and executioner for this street. It is your order here. Nothing happens here on this street, this quarter-mile street, without you guys saying so. And you know all the ins and outs, all the hiding places, everything. Somebody would have to be really bold to challenge you here. And you walk down the street, and as you do, Evnon, he actually turns to you and he's a little bit surprised, and he says, "What do you think they want?"
I have no clue.
And you arrive at the refuge, and it appears like just a normal 4-story building, but you know that it goes on for buildings in either direction from it, although they look separate. But the buildings that go in for either direction are all bricked up in the first level, and they all have those stone screens for every other level. So to all intents and purposes, it looks like it may be like 5 buildings that are deserted, but it's actually one compound. You open up these 2 arching double doors into a fairly large room, and then you have smaller double doors. And those are the ones upon which you knock. And you guys step back, and pretty soon they're opened by the old man. Roll 20-sided one more time.
You're he.
Man, I love your dice, dude. The old man that opens the door, you know him. His name is Ikatu. And he is tall, which is strange because most old men are not tall. But he's like six. He's Evnon's size. He's like 6'1", but his hair is sleek white, although he's very dark green eyes. And he opens the door and he smiles. He says, "Enter." And Evnon bows. And he says, "Afeni." And he walks through. And you walk through as well, I am presuming, before the door is shut.
Yep.
And Ikatu motions, and you walk in, and it's always a wonder. Most of it is smaller buildings in a square around a garden. And the garden is just beautiful. It's colonnaded, and it just looks like a place of absolute peace. And with the two double doors closed, you can hear nothing of the city, except all you hear is the running water in the garden. You know, there must be some plumbing with fountains and that sort of thing. And then off to your right is this open antechamber with all sorts of overstuffed chairs and pillows and tables and writing implements. And you know it's a place where the visitors are entertained, and that is where you sit. And Evnon sits, and immediately servants come in, and you try not to look too hard, but they are very beautiful young women, and they come in with tea services and hookahs and food and the whole 9 yards, and start laying them out, and Evnon just pretends like they're not even there. And Ikatu begins to speak, and he actually speaks to Evnon. And he says, "We have not spoken much, my friend, but you have asked many times of the Alabaster Palace." And you see Evnon's eyes snap up. That means something to him. The old man continues and he says, "I have much word of the Alabaster Palace, for it is now something that interests me as well. They have something there. It is shaped like a diamond. It is this size. It is made of a metal that is very light and very beautiful, and perhaps looks like burnished silver, but is not. It will never tarnish. It is beyond price. I am not a liar. What I will give you is this. I will not give you the price of the thing up front. I will not give you half the price of the thing up front. When you give it to me, I will give you but a pittance of what it is worth. I will give you 100 silver every month that you are alive on the planet. If you choose to leave Sekhmet, I will give you that amount in gold every year that you return to come and get it for the rest of your life. The reason why I will not give you the price of this thing when you hand it to me is that you will be pursued. Those whom you have stolen this from will not let this stand, and they will be looking for you. They will be looking for what you look like, what tools you use, and you will be looking for those who have much gold who do not have it before. 100 silver is a tremendous sum. Let us hope it does not perk their interest when you are successful. Yes? And Evnon nods. And he also says, this will be well guarded. He nods. I have 2 other bits of information that may help you. 3, truth be told. At the Alabaster Palace, they are having a masked ball. Now, you will not be able to access the plateau to get to the Alabaster Palace to don a disguise to enter. However, I may be able to get you into the palace a different way. There is a well, not on the plateau, but below it. If you go down the well, there is a hole that is caved in. You will have to swim through tunnels of water Be prepared, for they may be long. You will enter a cavern. If you follow basic instructions that I will write down for you, and I will give you a map, you will come to another broken passage. Not passage, but almost a stairway. The stairway will lead you to a tower that guards the plateau. At the top of this tower is a ballista. It is unguarded, but a ballista is there. 100 feet from that tower, 100 feet is the Alabaster Palace. I know that they have had disguise makers there for the last 3 months, and they have bought hundreds of disguises, yet they will only use a handful. And I know the very room where all of these disguises are. I also know one other thing. I know that they have built a vault for this priceless artifact. I know that it would be folly to try to enter this vault, but as you know, the plateau is laced with all sorts of tunnels and catacombs and such. There is another tunnel that you can access in another part of the Alabaster Palace that leads to the vault. Perhaps you can go through the wall of the vault, far too deeply that they would ever suspect, far too deeply that they would ever reinforce it with metal or whatever, and steal this item and escape. If you do, your lives will change. You will be more than a friend to the refuge, and you will be wealthy, and you will give me something of inestimable value. It does not belong to them, but to my people. And he starts putting maps in front of you. And you realize that this is not a dumb guy, and he probably has had a lot of help. And there are extensive maps of what he's talking about. You see right where the well is. And as a matter of fact, what's interesting is that Kurao has spoken of this place. And it's an area where there's not a lot of trouble because it's right below the plateau. So rather than risk archers from the walls, like there's a plateau and then 100 feet of walls and towers, rather than risk any ire from the walls and towers, most people are sort of chill when it comes to the area right below it. So this well could be accessed maybe even at nothing. You see maps of where you would go down 50 feet into this well, into where it's collapsed, and this tunnel, probably you need to come up with some way to get through this tunnel it's going to be more than holding your breath. You're going to need to come up with something. You know that instinctively. And the truth is, not everyone in this whole party can even swim. Roll 27. In fact, I want everybody to roll 27.
2.
5.
So good. 11.
1.
Okay. You can swim, and Evnon can swim.
I can float.
The rest of you cannot. No, you can swim. You can swim well. Oddly enough, you're a fish in the water. The rest of you cannot swim, have never even been immersed in water. You are desperately afraid of water. In fact, you have like a just not like a claustrophobia thing, but the idea of being underwater fills you with absolute terror. You see a basic map of the tunnel complex that you get into after this watery journey, leading to all of these things were carved and built or existed before and after each other. Nobody even knew that this was here when they built this. It's just the nature of Sekhmet. That's just the way that it is. But you see another map leading to this thing that will bring you into the bottom part of the tower, which is, there's actually no one even in the tower anymore. It's unguarded. It's 100 feet tall. No one even worries about it. It would even, like, for your crew, scaling 100-foot towers beyond your capability. You know, you wouldn't be able to sneak into the planet. And actually, there's a little map of the Alabaster Palace. And Evnon, the way that he talks, you realize that he's been inside of it. He's like, well, when we get into the Alabaster Palace and we go to this room, I know that when we exit this door, we're in here, and you're like, it's really strange. Evnon's been there. He's been there. And you've known him most of his life. He must have been very, very But there it is. He has laid it out. The idea of 100 silver a month for the rest of your life makes you different people. You're not brawling with other street gangs for caravan profits. You're whole different crew. And the thing is that you have skills which may lend itself to what this guy's talking about. Now, the truth is, what he's talking about is extraordinarily dangerous. This isn't one of those kind of things where they capture you and wait for the police. They capture you, they torture you, figure out who all your accomplices are, find them, torture them. Everybody dies bad. That's what this guy's talking about. And everybody knows it. There's no lies, there's no nothing. This is scum of Sekhmet going into the plateau, into a place called the Alabaster Palace, and stealing something of inestimable value, which will get you 100 silver pieces a month for the rest of your life. This is life-changing. And you float out of the refuge, and you float down the street, and you don't even notice when people, Fendi. In fact, you look down, and you see that one of your hands has a half of grapes in it. Like someone has handed it to you and you didn't even realize it, and you just start to eat them. You don't even realize who handed it to you. You're like, oh, this is fitting. But you're just so in your own space as you make your way back to the den, and as your buddies return, you realize that something absolutely profound has happened because they are changed. You just see a look in their eyes. And Evnon says nothing, but he goes to the table and he just starts laying out the maps. And all of you guys, when you look over his shoulder, start looking at the maps, you don't look at them as tyros, you look at them as professionals. And you realize something's up. And you can easily kind of trace the route across these maps to this palace. From the well to the water to the tunnels.
Of course, the well.
Oh, the well is pretty far away from you guys. So you would have to travel at a time when it's safe. And the safe time to travel is like dawn. You know, you don't want to travel at night. That's suicide with all the gangs and syndicates and everybody running around. And Sekhmet has even worse things running around at night, like legends of people with bodies being found with things being done to them. And don't do that. It's no bueno. Dawn. During the day, of course, everyone's awake, so other gangs and syndicates can see you coming. Most of the city is controlled by somebody or something. Mm-hmm. So you would have to travel to a really safe place. It's a really safe time to get to this well. It is by the plateau, so it is north and east of where you are.
I perk up and I'm looking at the maps and I go, huh, it's interesting.
How long do we have?
Evnon shakes his head and he says, this dance is in less than a fortnight.
As I point to the maps, I'm like, I recognize the architect. I know the builder. I haven't been there myself, but I like his work.
I'm going to put down 2 fate and roll 20-sided.
Jared.
14.
Okay, you have never been inside the Alabaster Palace, but you know of it. The plateau and the promontories are filled with all kinds of compounds and palaces of the rich. There's no really ruling house of Sekhmet. There are strong blocks. Like there is the Black Aurelian block that lives in the promontory, and no one messes with them. And they're just the old decadent debauched Aurelians who didn't become the Sangmal. It's rumored that there are Sangmal, but they're of course in the promontories and nobody knows anything about them. And then there are the old families of Thoth and the invaders and stuff like that. So there's blocks. The Alabaster Palace belongs to a family called the Smenkare, and they're all of old Sekhmet and Black Aurelian stock. The leader of the house fancies himself Farron Akintel, and Farron is like Pharaoh, emperor. styles himself an emperor, but he's of course not the emperor of Sekhmet Empire. But he's very, 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 very wealthy. And you also know that families that like that tend to be decadent, debauched, evil, dark. And it's rumored that some of them can use magic. Like people live in fear of them. Like they don't want to even see them in case a hex goes on them. There's a superstitious fear of that kind of wealthy Sekhmet. And in your opinion, it's probably well deserved. Not good people. You've never been there. You've been by it. It's a beautiful place. High walls. It would be almost impossible to sneak into unless you had some sort of really ornate good plan.
The Alabaster Palace looks pretty from the outside, but see that it gets its shine from the material of the import. But I know they can't import enough material to make the whole thing out of it, so they don't use that material for all of it. It's actually got sandstone pores on the walls. Sandstone is very soft.
What do you need to get through it?
I mean, do we want to make some noise, or do we have to sneak in here?
Well, the first problem is only 2 of us can swim. Where are we gonna get people out?
Didn't the old man say there was another way? There's the falls.
That's what we're talking about. But we have to go through the water.
We have to go through the well first before we get to the well.
Well, someone who swims takes a rope, the length. We can guide ourselves, pull ourselves through it.
I'm not going. I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
It would have to be Ben. He's the best swimmer.
Whoosh.
White Roosh.
But no, we do not want to.
Evnon turns to you and he says, "You will help us get to the watery tunnel, but then we will leave you there."
Understood. I can disguise you guys. I can dress you guys. I ain't going. I'll watch the well for when we come back.
Evnon, he nods. Then he turns to you guys and he winks. Only you two see it.
There is a herb that makes people brave. Did you get some?
Fate, roll 20-sided.
15.
Evnon nods and he says, "Maybe we will all take it."
How much are they paying? Pipe up.
100 silver more.
I clean my ears. Come again?
100 silver a month.
So,
For how many months? That's
Like,
no, you're joking. What could they possibly have in there that is worth that much? For all of us, we all get that. Woo, boy! This day's getting a little bit better.
Evnon says, "I think the 100 silver is split between us, but it is more than enough for all of us, especially if it's for the rest of our lives."
I don't know if you ever held a silver.
It will give us it will change our lives.
How much time do we have to prepare? No
Less
shape.
than a fortnight.
I'm in no shape to go anywhere until my wounds heal.
You need to rest. You know, tell us what you need so that we can get it. But you need to stay here and not know you need to heal as much as you can.
I'll come up with a list of supplies, but we need something heavy to bust through that outer layer to get to the sandstone softer underneath. And it's going to be hard, but we're going to have to lug in some other things to make sure that we can cover our tracks. This is no easy operation, guys. Maybe I can get hold of some wood and paint it to look like rock. That might lighten our load, but this is not going to be a walk in the park.
I think
I'm going to do something really unusual. I am going to do something that a normal D&D DM would do.
All right.
However, you're going to pay for it, which I like. And it's the only reason why I'm going to do it is because I get to charge through the nose for you.
what am I saying?
So, I need one of you guys to tell me how much a straight up story 20.
Straight up story 20.
Straight up story 20.
This is 15.
Story 20 is 15.
15.
Okay, I don't like that. That's really cheap. Dave, how many fate tokens do you have?
A lot. Like 20, 30 something, 35.
For 30 fate tokens,
Mm-hmm.
I will give you a storage one. I want to see those 30 go back and
So this
when
5,
when chips go back in the tray,
10.
gives me 6 special.
That's 30. And you get the story 20. Which one does it look like?
Okay, hold it up. Play it. Dave, roll 20 sided. 20. Bang. No, you just played that. That's a 20.
Oh, it is.
Okay. At the word ballista, your ears perked up. You are the expert when it comes to all. A ballista to you is a grappling hook throw.
Okay.
But not only that, it throws it a long way. Now, the truth is that you guys don't have the technology, the know-how, the whatever to make a ballista, and they're huge and they can't be moved. This is stationary inside of a tower, and the truth is it probably can be swiveled, right? This thing can launch a harpoon 100 meters. The Alabaster Palace is 100 feet away from its tower. In between the tower and the Alabaster Palace are just gardens. I mean, the gardens probably have guards and dogs and whatever, but you're thinking to yourself, this could launch some kind of grappling hook into this Alabaster Palace from the tower, and we could climb from the tower to the palace. And then find our way in from the roof, which would be into this room where they put the disguises. With a little luck, there's nobody in there, and then we disguise up. Okay, now he already put together the disguise up option. As soon as he heard the word disguise, he's like, a room full of disguises? Okay, this is promising. We need to get there. You think that's the way to do this. And that immediately pops into your brain. And they're still arguing and you say nothing. So unfortunately, probably you guys are going to have to go into the front door sometime.
I was actually about to bring that up and see what we get to the stuff. When you start, I'm going to be a good DM.
Because it got your mind thinking.
No, I was thinking about that ahead of time. The 100 feet across was
So, Dave, what I want you to do is I want you to curse. Fuck! I want you to curse Akil. No, but the truth is that you did need to buy that because you're not the projectile expert anymore.
That's right, you did it.
That's so
That is
it had to cost you a lot of money for that thing. But I will say
Roosh
this:
spent a lot of time hanging out with Ben.
Roosh spent a lot of time hanging out with Ben, and for 30 Fate tokens, I think that that's a good trade. Okay. So not that everything's going to be harder than it was with Ben, because Ben was the expert and you were not. And the truth is you guys probably all want to put your heads together when it comes to stuff that Ben would be doing. And there are other things that you guys are missing right now that you simply can't and won't be able to do. Like the pickpocketing and all that. That's just beyond what Crow could do is totally beyond anything what you guys do. So that option is just totally off the table when it comes to anything.
Right.
But maybe you guys could figure this one out. The ballista is easy enough to probably figure out.
Well, what if you are our de facto expert here? We find out from the plans what wall that vault is, and we see if that ballista is strong enough to pierce that wall. Because without Kuro, I don't know if we can pick the lock to that vault. I think we'll have to brute force it.
First, I'm going.
Oh, you are, yeah.
But second, we know from the maps and what they were told that the vault is inside.
Understood.
So we have to get to it,
Yeah,
and we have to get to the wall behind so we can get back in.
I gotta go to the roof first.
Right. So you guys are. This is complicated. The well, getting to the well. A bear in Sekhmet. Getting 50 feet down in the well.
To the hole.
Seeing the aperture, the hole. Okay. Then swimming underwater longer than most people can hold their breath to a tunnel complex that's probably
To the
pitch
cavern.
dark. Finding a different tunnel to a staircase that leads to the bottom of the tower, finding your way up the tower, hoping there's nobody there, getting to the ballista, shooting the ballista into the palace, getting onto the palace, somehow finding a way into this room with the disguises, making your way into the palace,
How many of us are there?
finding the other tunnel, making your way into it, disguising the fact that you were ever there at all, then going to where the vault is, digging into the side of the vault, grabbing the thing, and then escaping. That's what we're talking about. But any sane person would say, yeah, maybe 10 adventures from now we'll do this. But you have a fortnight and you're absolutely desperate.
I think I know a way to get through the water.
What do you got?
Everyone turns and looks at you.
Camel bladders. We fill them with air. We can breathe halfway through it when we need it.
That'll get you half a breath at best. You'd need maybe 5 camel bladders to make that run.
How long it is? It's longer than we can breathe. It's 5 times the work.
You know what? You think to yourself, if there was something big, like maybe something made out of the camel's stomach or intestines or whatever, let's just say camel bladder, maybe it could work. Especially if the fastest, best swimmer, which would be Evnon, goes with a rope and secures the other end, and everybody else is just pulling themselves through. Maybe
With some air.
yeah, it might. It's doable. So with just that little bit of extra air, you could do it as long as you just pull that on that rope, like your life depended on it.
Once.
And it does. That's exactly correct.
Could we speed that up by having the 2 best swimmers of Roosh and Evnon lay that rope, and when everyone's attached the rope as they're climbing forward, they're also pulling it from the other end.
That's a brilliant idea.
Actually, fate. Yes, absolutely. It
That
works.
is a good idea.
And what you guys are talking about is just a couple extra like carabiner mountain climbing equipment type of stuff, and you actually probably have that on hand already, because that's the kind of stuff that's your bread and butter, your lifeboat for people like you. Evnon nods and he smiles and he goes, so we found our way through the water. And he actually goes to not a closet, but just like an empty room, and he starts throwing stuff out of it. And you realize that it's where Ben had a lot of his stuff. And you see all manners of grappling hooks, cling, cling, his little balls. You guys forget what he called them, but bling, they come out, ding. And actually you see Evnon.
Was proud of them.
He comes out of the room and he braces himself in the doorway. And you see him just go like this. And he holds himself for a second with his eyes closed. I will see him again someday. He collects himself and he goes back to you. Cring, 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 cring. And all of a sudden you guys realize that all of these things, it just reminds you of him, and your heart aches. And you realize that there will probably be a bit of this silver, if you ever get it, dedicating to killing those sons of dogs on the other side of the dung road who did this, who betrayed you at the first opportunity. All of you kind of go from sadness to vengeance and anger. Yeah, that hacks you off. Sometimes you guys are brothers. The whore sons, the sons of 5,000 whores on the other side of that street, they need to die slow.
When this job is over, we won't own this side of the street. We'll own both sides of the street. We will run this city. We will run them out of town. Those bastards won't know what hit them.
Evnon comes out of the room to say yes, and he goes back in. And all of a sudden, in front of you, you guys see all kinds of grappling hooks and stuff. And very quickly, you realize that amongst Ben's stuff are hooks that could definitely be shot on top of this palace to connect on something. It would just be a question of sound. But there's a couple things working in your favor. If there is a party, there's lots of sound. So maybe it's not insurmountable, or maybe you could just throw this hook somewhere. Evnon actually senses the direction all this is going. He says
the hook should be inside of the tower top or in a room so that debris does not fall.
Actually, you know this.
I
These-
for the hook. I can pad the hook so it falls almost silently.
You know that these palaces have extraordinarily complicated, there's only one word for it, air conditioning systems.
Mhm.
Okay. So they have intakes all around where air goes through narrow pipes into the earth and then comes out into it. So that the temperature of these big palaces is 75 degrees when it's 120 out. And they also have these towers throughout where they can open up hatches and the heat can immediately leave the palace and then close it again.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you want to do in these hatches, nobody lives where the air is expelled. Okay, and they look like little ornamental towers because they have to look beautiful, but that's really all that they are, is a place for air to escape. So you could damn well put a harpoon into one of these towers, into the roof of it, and sink it in to make as much noise as you want it to, and